It was 2 in the morning when I slipped quietly from bed, the creak of the floorboards beneath my bare feet echoing louder than I'd liked. The house was cloaked in that peculiar kind of silence only found in the dead of night. A soft blue glow leaked from under the door down the hall, my stepson's room. I hadn't meant to see it. I was only heading to the kitchen for a glass of water, hoping to settle the restless ache that had kept me tossing for hours. But the light stopped me. That sliver of soft neon buzzed with something unnatural, like it didn't belong there. I should have turned back. I should have walked to the kitchen and ignored it. But instead, I paused. Just for a second. That second changed everything. My name is Rachel, I'm 39, and for the last 8 years, I've been married to Mark. He's everything stable in this world. A calm, logical man, an accountant who thrives on balance sheets and early bedtimes. I had been married once before, and after that heartbreak, Mark felt like safety. His son, Lucas, was 20 when we met, reserved, headphones always around his neck, eyes fixed to a screen. We never had that mother-son connection. He just called me Rachel, and I never pushed it. That was fine with me. When Lucas left for college, I thought that chapter was over. But 6 months ago, at 26, he moved back in after the tech startup he'd worked for in Portland went belly up. The guest room became his again. Mark was thrilled, beaming with pride at his son's intelligence. I told myself it was temporary. Lucas wasn't the shy kid anymore. He was taller now, with a certain quiet confidence that followed him like a shadow. His glances were longer, his smiles more pointed. I convinced myself it was nothing. That night, I peeked through the small gap in Lucas's door, drawn by something I didn't understand. He sat cross-legged on the bed, the glow of his laptop bouncing off the walls, his face intense and focused. I leaned forward, and that's when I saw it. The video. It was of Mark and me. Intimate moments. Private ones. Ones no one else should have seen. My breath caught in my throat. The glass in my hand trembled. I felt like my insides had turned to ice. But I didn't scream.
I didn't burst in.
I just stood there, frozen, heart racing with something that wasn't just fear. In Lucas's expression, I didn't see embarrassment or shame. I saw hunger. Possession. I stumbled back to bed and curled beside Mark, who snored softly, unaware that everything was about to unravel. Over the next days, I avoided Lucas like the air was laced with fire. But every interaction, every glance, made my skin burn in a way I didn't understand. At breakfast, when his hand brushed mine, I felt my breath catch. At dinner, his foot touched my ankle beneath the table, and I didn't pull away quickly enough. It wasn't disgust I felt. That terrified me more than anything. Then Mark left for a 3-day business trip. "Behave, you two," he said playfully before leaving. That night, I scrubbed the counters even though they were clean, trying to shake the sense of dread wrapping around me. Lucas appeared in the doorway like a storm cloud. "We need to talk," he said. His voice was calm, but charged. I turned to face him. "What did you see?" I asked. He stepped closer. "You're even more beautiful in real life." I should have slapped him. I should have screamed. But instead, I stood there, cheeks burning, hands trembling. What followed was a slow, spiraling descent. Lucas pushed boundaries, a hand lingering on my back, brushing my hair away as he passed. I started playing along. Softer pajamas. A slightly opened robe. I told myself it was harmless. I was still in control. But deep down, I knew I wasn't. And then came the storm. Lightning cracked outside, the power shut off, and I was left in the dark kitchen, the wind howling like a warning. Lucas came up behind me, his presence strong and hot. "It's just a storm," he said. I could barely breathe. "Stop," I whispered, but my voice lacked conviction. "Make me," he breathed into my ear. And then I let him kiss me. I let him touch me. The kitchen counter pressed against my back as everything I had stood for dissolved in a rush of reckless heat. When the lights came back, Lucas walked away like it meant nothing. I stood there, crumpled and breathless, shattered. Mark returned the next day, cheerful, kissing my cheek. Lucas acted as if the world hadn't tilted. I wanted to pretend it never happened. But 3 nights later, a soft knock came. It was Lucas. "We need to talk," he said again, this time in a whisper. I followed him to the basement. "This can't happen again," I told him. He stepped closer, smirking. "You keep saying that, but you keep coming back." His touch burned, and my resistance crumbled again. The next month blurred into hidden kisses, stolen touches. I hated myself. I loved the thrill. I was disgusted. I was addicted. And then I was late.
2 weeks late.
I sat in the bathroom staring at the test. Positive. Panic ripped through me. I shoved the stick at Lucas. His eyes lit up. "This is perfect," he said. "We don't have to hide anymore." I was horrified. "You think I'd leave Mark for you?" I snapped. He just smirked. "You already have." He gave me 3 days to tell Mark or he would. I felt trapped. I packed a suitcase, left a note and my ring on the counter, and fled in the night. I checked into a dingy motel, sobbing. Mark called. Then Lucas. I ignored both. I sat in that cheap room and cried harder than I ever had. Then there was a knock. Lucas. Behind him, Mark. My heart stopped. Mark's face was hollow. "She's pregnant," Lucas said. "It's mine." Mark stared at me, stunned. "How long?" he asked. "A while," Lucas answered before I could speak. Mark walked away, silent, broken. Lucas stood there, grinning. "That went well," he said. And in that moment, I saw him clearly. This wasn't love. This was manipulation.
A game.
"You planned this," I said. "Every bit." He didn't deny it. "I wanted you. And I got you." I walked out. No more games. No more shame. I found refuge above a laundromat in a small town. When the divorce papers came, I didn't cry. The silence in them was louder than any fight. At 7 months, I worked at a bookstore, rubbing my swollen belly. One rainy morning, Lucas appeared again. "You look good pregnant," he said. "Leave," I told him. "There's no us." He mentioned a DNA test. I didn't flinch. "My child won't know your games." When labor came, I was alone. A taxi ride. A hospital bed. My daughter, Lily, came into the world with a wail and a tiny hand curled around my finger. Lucas tried to get custody. I threatened legal action. With the help of my bookstore manager, I disappeared. New name. New state. Just me and Lily. I wrote one letter to Mark. "She has your smile," I wrote. "I'm sorry. I'll raise her right." My story isn't unique, but it's a warning. Temptation can feel like freedom. Secrets can feel like excitement. But trust, respect, and boundaries, those are the true foundations of love. I broke them all, and I paid the price. But from the ashes, I'm building again. For Lily. For myself.